what a lovely morning. Good morning.
Good morning. We've talked the whole night through.
Good morning.
Good morning to you. Good morning. Good morning. It's great. Stay up. Good morning. Good morning to you.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Morning Roast. And I am, of course, Sugar Chris. And not with me today is Sim, apparently. He must be sleeping or getting his coffee. It's usually one or the other. So replacing Sim, I guess, is Chimera.
I'll just stay on mute.
Oh, is that what you're going to do?
That's just what Sim will be.
Better for everyone?
You're just here to just be like, back my testament book. But with me, that's okay because making up for Sim and Chimera today is Kimosabi. He'll talk for everybody.
How dare you?
G'day everyone, I'm the man called Kimosabi, the man with the plan from the land down under. Thanks for having me back on the show, mate. I had a fantastic time last time. It was actually one of the first shows I ever streamed, I think. And it just set the high bar for me. I thought this is just such a chill environment. Just talking comics, talking shit, talking with some good dudes. It was a really great way to spend a couple of hours. So when you said, are you free tonight for another show? I'm like, yeah, absolutely. I'll always make time for you guys.
Yeah, it was great that you popped in at the at such a last minute. I keep forgetting that the Australian time is so much different. I'm used to talking with people and them being like, oh yeah, this is great because it's like over 4 in the evening or 6 in the evening where I'm at, so 11 in the morning for you where you're at, it's great, and yours it's like 1 in the morning.
Yeah, it's 1 a.m. That's all right, though. That's all right.
Oh, but hush up, you. Let me see who is in the chat here. Let's see. We got Soline saying instead of 2 girls, 1 cup, why not 2 boys cups? Right. That's right. We got
That's an improvement.
Merch. Our little morning roast merch. I'm drinking out of me today.
That's cool. That's cool.
Yeah, it's even got the little logo. That's
very
awesome.
professional.
Yeah. Unlike my shows.
They got their own charm. They got I call it rustic. It's rustic.
Let's see. Oh, right. Pale Rider's already here. He's got the red dress and mermaid. So I guess he's hoping Irene shows up. Let's see. Mr. Feed's with us. Late, straight, and ready. Hey, we're not late. I set it for 11:10, and we started pretty much that time. So it says, welcome to the morning roast where roses are red, Mary's no Sue, and the company men are still dead, white, and blue.
I like it. Impressive wordplay. That's good. That's some good stuff. I'm going to use that.
Good morning, Kino Subway, Kimosabi. Don't bring that up, Soul. Don't bring up Kino.
It did my head in the first time I saw him in the chat. I'm like, who is this guy with my name? And he says, who is this guy with my name? Hasn't come up a lot since then.
Yeah, I had to change my name because everybody kept confusing me for you. I was like, no, I've been here longer than him.
Yeah, that's right. You do outrank me. That's it's a rough run you've had there.
Oh well, the Sugar Chris has gained a life of its own. Unfortunately, now I'm portrayed as in a red dress. Hey, there's McGee.
Wow.
Hey, McGee.
I haven't seen Crystal in a long time. Holy shit.
Yeah, I'm wearing her hoodie today for the good night.
Oh, yeah.
A little teddy bear on it. And it's got the little logo on the back. Because I did an unboxing, was it the last stream there? And I got her books and everything. I still haven't dug into it yet, but I'm going to soon. We got Glacier Mountain Comics with us as well. This is at work right now, but fuck it. Hail, Pat, or hail, check. Good morning, good evening. All that. Hello, sir. So, for those who might be new, introduce yourself, Kimosabi.
Yeah, absolutely. I'm the man called Kimosabi, the man playing from land down under. I am an Australian, I hate to say YouTuber. My wife goes, no, but you are. You're a YouTuber. That's a dirty word. Don't use that word. But I am on the YouTubes. I do transcend my boomer tendencies and put out video reviews of comic books, indie comic books specifically. Sometimes I'll hit up the mainstream with something particularly cringy. Amelia Clark Slater's book, Mother of Madness, is an absolute dog's breakfast, so I had to lambast that one. That's one of my best viewed videos so far. It's only been out for 3 days and it's got more views than my last 5 videos put together. People can't wait to see. I'll rephrase that. People can't wait to hear me shit on that book. It's really bad. If you get a chance, go check it out. It's a lot of fun, and it's sort of it speaks into the wokiness of Hollywood pushing their weird agendas, but they just can't write. It doesn't matter. You can't virtue signal enough to make it right. The book makes no sense whatsoever. So I do these indie comic reviews mostly because I didn't know what else I had to say. A lot of people do drama and outrage stuff. A lot of people do clickbaity sort of things. Some people just talk. They just get on a monologue about whatever's going on. I can't do that on the fly. So I'm like, well, what can I actually do? Well, I went to art school and, that sort of stuff. So I can critically review these comic books, talking about theme, talking about character, talking about plot, talking about the specifics of the art, the structure, color, composition, anatomy, all that sort of stuff. Do a real deep dive into each comic and say, in the usual format, the good, the bad, and the ugly, what works, what doesn't, what I would have done differently if I was running the book, which is the format that I picked up from Mim Hedrum. I don't know if you guys ever saw his videos before he left YouTube. He'd review Batgirl or something really cringy and woke, and he'd be like, here's what did work, and here's what you could have done better to make the book a better book. So I took that format on and I sort of said, well, you got elements that do work. Here's how I would have written it. Here's how I would have presented it. So it would have been a more successful title. And over time, people have come to really, enjoy my reviews. And my goal was to sort of say, well, if you can see that I know how a story should be structured, if you can see that I know how to write a good story because I can tell you what went wrong with these stories, here is my comic book that I've created. And, there's built up some level of trust with the people that do watch my videos to say, well, I know that he understands story. So when he puts a book out, I know that I'm going to be in for, a decent read because he knows what he's talking about. And that was always the plan. And that's what's happened now. The company Men Dead, White and Blue is fully funded, nearly 200% funded, in demand at the moment. And we're only a few pages away from having the digital file complete. Then it's off to the printers and we should start shipping. I'd say we'd start shipping within the next month. Give it a month. And due date was December, so we're months ahead of where we need to be. We're way ahead of the schedule that we've got set up, which is really great to know that. In these day and age where there's so many books that are late, so many books that are running late, so many books that have had problems and hiccups, and we had problems too with the COVID and everything. My artist was laid up for a couple of months, and his family was laid up with a couple of months. Now the colorist is crook with COVID, waiting for him to get back on his feet so the last few pages can get done. But I gave myself that lead time, that extra time, so if it did happen, something like this did happen, we were covered, and we are. What are we in? We're in July. I got till December to get the book delivered. You guys are going to be getting it November, October, September. Like, you guys are going to be getting it way before I said you would. What I say, under promise and over deliver, and that's what I'm doing with this book.
Yeah, you gave yourself plenty of extra time for these kind of unexpected occurrences.
Yeah, it's my first book. It's too important to screw up. Imagine if I come up late on my first book. That's gonna burn a lot of bridges. Even if it was something completely out of my control, even if I kept everybody fully up to date and made them aware of what's happening, offered refunds, whatever, my name would be mud. So I have to come good on the first book. Once that first book is out, I expect the second will do better, and then it'll keep growing and growing and growing from there.
I think I said about your YouTube channel. You're like, I don't. How would you say it? I don't know what. I didn't know what to talk about or something. Like what? No way.
I can ramble about any old thing, but to sit there and critically assess a book on the fly, it's sometimes I include bloopers because I script all of my reviews. I'll read the book and I'll write the script, or as I'm reading the book, I'll jump back and forward to a notepad document and just put down some ideas, and then I'll recite the whole thing, clean up the audio, put some images over it. There's the video, and a couple of times I've tried to just do it on the fly. It doesn't work. I either ramble too much or I can't get my thoughts together. I'm definitely someone who's better at putting their ideas down on paper if I want to be coherent. And sometimes I have bloopers at the end there where I misspeak or where I can't pick up the thread of the thought and I lose it, and I beep out all the curse words, and then I think it's funny. I think I'm very funny. I make myself laugh. I had a 4.5 hour draw stream today where I was just drawing. I've got them here actually. art cards for where the hell did I put them?
Yeah, I tuned into that stream while I was working. for at least part of it, I got to watch.
Yeah, so I was drawing, but the whole time I was cracking myself up because I think I'm very, very funny. Not everybody has to agree with me, so it's doing some art cards. There's Cable, there's Stingray, there's Monkey Magic, Stay Puft Marshmallow Man, Chod from Starjammers. I'm a better writer than I'm an artist, but I can sling a little bit of ink. You know?
The Mechanicus.
Yes. Praise the Emperor, brother. And that was a lot of fun. So I'm hoping to do the same thing tomorrow. What I'd said with the campaign was I said if we get 300 people sign up, everybody who backs a physical tier will get a sketch card, hand-drawn sketch card. And we made 300. So I bought a bunch of postcards off Amazon. And now for the next, couple of weeks, every day I'm going to try and smash out 10 cards. If I can do that for 20, 30 days, I'll hit the 200 cards that I need done easy.
Nice. You're going to be like Sim doing all those dang sketch cards like everybody.
Yeah, I don't know if I'll do it again. I mean, it's like I said on the stream today, nobody's going to watch the stream and go, oh, wow, if I buy this guy's book for $30, I can get this free sketch card from this nobody I've never heard of that if I have heard of him, he's a writer and reviewer, not an artist. Like, it's not a tchotchke that's going to get people interested in buying the book. What it is a gimmick to get me over the line for 300. More specifically, it sets up the live streams to be a 4-hour ad for my comic. While I'm there talking, drawing, interacting with the audience, with the chat, I'm there reminding you, just my presence is reminding you, hey, my book exists, it's in demand. If you like what you see, if you haven't got it, go check it out. Go check this book out. And that's really what I've used that structure for, more so than trying to entice anybody with a free sketch card. Like the tchotchkes just don't work. Oh, we hit $5,000, you're going to get a bookmark. How many bookmarks do you need? And more I find myself moving into less and less tchotchkes and having those more simple campaigns. Like, here's cover 1, here's cover 2, here's the limited edition bonus content version, director's cut, and there's all 3. Go nuts. Yeah. And I'll probably drop other tchotchkes in the future because I don't personally find it particularly interesting. I don't back a lot of physical books anyway. And it's return on interest. The amount of money you spend on getting, say, bookmarks made or a T-shirt made or whatever is not going to bring in enough money to pay for itself, let alone bring in enough money to make it really profitable. There's no T-shirt you can print that's going to bring in $10,000 more back. And if that happens, it's because you're already a big name, and anything you bring out was going to give you an extra $10,000 because it's another product with your character on it, and people love you and love your character. If you're that sort of creator, that's fine. But a guy like me just starting out, everything else is just dead money. So more and more, I'll just move into, I think, just the books themselves. The next campaign, get Company Man book 1 and 2, get 3-packs, get triple packs, that sort of stuff. But I'll be moving away from. But then, I'm working with Dean on this other project, The Sinner, and I really think I've got a 3D printer, one of the SLA ones, the good resin ones. I think there's real scope to do, because he's a vigilante Batman type character. I think there's real scope to do like sort of a little sculpture, a little maquette of him perched on a gargoyle in a very Batman-esque pose. So at the same time I'm saying I don't want to do extras, I'm thinking that that's exactly the right sort of campaign to have a little statue that you could buy as part of that. And I can print them out here. It is really is a high-quality printer, so I could print them out at professional level here and add that as an extra if that's something that people are interested in.
That's a good idea. Like, that's something Sim was talking about doing, getting himself. He got himself a 3D printer to do like mini figures and little like Warhammer size figures.
Yeah, I saw his tweets. It's actually seeing him do it. I thought, so he's doing it. I always wanted one, but I never sort of pulled the trigger. And seeing him get it and seeing his results and stuff sort of put me one step closer on the path to actually saying, I'll just do it. I'll just buy it. So I ended up buying a Mono X, which is one of those 4K ones, so you got really good resolution on that. And yeah, I've also got it for, I'm a big fan of Warhammer and that, so I've got it for all the miniatures and that as well. Hoping to print up plates and plates of those guys. And yeah, talk about like being multimedia and covering a lot of bases. More and more I'm thinking, I'll have some of that stuff on my Twitter feed, have some of that stuff to interact with people as well. People can go, that's a cool conversion, or that's a good paint job, or that's a good setup, or that's an atmospheric game. Imagine doing post Twitter battle reports on a really narrative heavy Inquisimunder type game with converted models. Like, that's going to put eyes on you. People go, that's a really cool conversion, it's a really cool game. Who is this guy? Oh, he's got a comic. Hey, that looks cool. I mean, you've got to try anything, man, because it's all about getting eyes on your book. the two biggest impediments to getting a book done: money. If you've got enough money, you can get anything made. On our Comics Mate streams, Dean and I often joke about suspiciously wealthy furries and about how they just seem to have money to have these bizarre images. I don't know if you guys have ever heard of the Wonder Bread guy. Have you ever heard of the Wonder Bread guy that commissions bizarre Wonder Bread themed artwork?
That doesn't surprise me. I know furries are hoarded.
I've heard of similar stuff like that. Where guys,
yeah, well, there's this guy, and he commissions people to draw these complex, involved images of blonde-haired, blue-eyed white women buying loads and loads of white Wonder Bread in the shopping centres and packing their trolleys full of Wonder Bread and having these weird verbal narratives. You know, like have this character say this, and have that character say that, and it's all very. Like almost racially charged. It's this weird Aryan fetish. I don't know what's going on with it, but this dude's legendary on the internet, and people have calculated that he's dropped thousands of dollars on getting these pictures made. Like, if you've got enough money, whatever your idea is, you can get it made. There will be somebody who will draw it. That's not a problem. You just got to have the money. Once you've got the book made, it's getting eyes on. And I often say, like, just, you know, and the numbers bear this out, is the number of people that have looked at my campaign page versus the number of people who backed. 3% of people, between 3 and 5% by the end of the campaign, excuse me, between 3 and 5% people who looked at my campaign page actually backed it. So that's 1 in 20. 1 in 20. So for every 100 people that look at it, 50 people go, this is my sort of thing. This is pretty cool. 20 people bother to look at the price. 10 people add to cart. 5 people actually go buy and go through and pay with it, you know. So you got to think about that. So if you want to sell 1,000 copies, you need that many more people looking at your book. You've got to get eyes on. You've got to have people seeing the product because they can't buy what they don't know exists. How many times have you gone to Kickstarter or Indiegogo and scrolled through the you know, coming soon or the now funding page and found projects that you've never heard of, really functional, really good looking comic book projects, and you think, this is exactly my sort of thing. I would have backed this day one, but I never heard of it. It had a 40-day campaign. It's finished. I never heard this even existed. I'm on Twitter all day. I tweet as much as Gail Simone, and somehow I didn't see this project. So it's about getting eyes on your project no matter what else you do. And then, because it's a numbers game, if you have 10,000 people look at it, you're going to have 5% of that buy it. Well, that's better than 5% of 100, isn't it? You know, I sold 200 copies of my book. So think about how many people had to look at it and decide, not for me, not yet, not this time. A lot of people might have said, well, once he puts a book out, I'll back his next one. I'll get the double pack next time. Like, he's got to prove himself. There's a lot of people saying that more and more these days. These guys have to prove themselves first. Look at Detective Dead. You know, he made high 5 figures and just disappeared. He ended up coming back and putting out most of the book as a digital file, and I did a really positive review on it. But I mean, that guy poisoned the well for a lot of people. And there's a bunch of other people. I mean, there are late books, and people are calling out CG constantly on all the late books, and so they should. Like, if I'm late, I'll be the first person to put my hand up and say, whether, you know, you remember in school you'd say something and the teacher goes, that's no excuse. And I'd always think to myself, no, it's not an excuse though. It's a reason. Here's the reason that the book's late. And you can tell people those reasons, and how they take it is on them. It's not an excuse. It's a reason. But you know, I'll admit it if it was me, but it's not so far. Nothing's late. I haven't delivered anything, so I haven't failed. So all I can do is point to other people and say, where's your book? You know, I haven't been left hanging because I don't back a lot of physical books. The digital stuff tends to come out on time.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
Well, I'm sorry I'm late.
Okay, so here you go, mate.
Speaking of things being late, hello.
Yeah, right?
So going back a second, so you're not doing trading cards or prints on your campaign?
Probably not. Probably not. Not so much. I've got.
I was in Leroy's chat, and I was just kind of surprised. There's a lot of people that don't give a shit about trading cards or prints. They just want more pages for the supplementals or ash cans.
Yeah,
like, oh, okay.
They want the core product.
Right.
That's right. 100%. And even like I commissioned a bunch of original artwork, and there's some great artwork. I got Dax Marsh doing a fantastic Kirby-esque style one. I got Booty Juice did this excellent, you know, Booty Juice. He's such a good artist, man. He just is fantastic pin up for me. I got half a dozen original artworks, and they're all going to be prints. And it's going to cost me. It's not going to cost me a lot, but it's a hassle. I got to get enough copies of each print for every backer. You know, so 200 backers times 6 prints. So you're looking at 1,200 prints. But, you know, with print runs, you can't just say, well, 1,200 prints is X dollars. No, because it's 1,200 divided into 6 different prints. So it's going to cost me 6 times as much as it would if it was just the one print. Like, all I've done is just And my point is, nobody looked at the book, looked at my campaign, looked at all the memes, soul lines, talking about the memes that I did. They were a lot of fun, and people really responded to them. Guerrilla marketing. Nobody looked at all that stuff and said, I'd back this book if only this guy had more prints. And then I'd turn up with the print pack and like, oh hell yes, I'm going to pull the trigger on this. This is I'm going to back. Nobody did that. Nobody looked at the prints and said, this is why I will back the book. They backed the book on the book. An extra trading card, an extra poster, whatever, that's not going to convince anyone. It might give someone that feeling of value added. And when they get, and you see it, sometimes people tweet, I got such and such project from this guy, and they open the pack and they got a coaster, they got stickers, they got magnets, they got bookmarks, and it looks cool, and you get all the extras and you feel like, yeah, I've got a value added product here. But if you said to that person, and it might differ, but if you said to that person, what would you rather, all the tchotchkes or 20 more pages? Backup material, director's cut, script pages, concept art, or 20 more actual story pages, which, I bet 9 out of 10 people would pick the more pages, would pick that bigger, better, bulkier, sexier core product over a lot of stuff that's just going to go in the drawer for a lot of people, or get given to their kids, or slapped on the side of their PC. I got my towel right here. You can slap a sticker on it, and then every time you look at it, you remember, does it matter? That's not going to sell my book. The book's going to sell the book. The writing's going to sell the book, the artwork and the coloring. So, yeah, I'm going to focus on getting the best core product time and time again and reduce all those extras. And I'm not saying it's not, saying it's not good for other people. There's other people who slavishly collect EVS Cyberfrog cards, and they want every single one, and they get every monthly backer card and everything. That's cool, man. That's your jam. I collect orcs for 40K. Like, you do what you want to do with your own money and your own time. It's all good in the hood. But for me, it's not a viable option. If I was as big as EVS, absolutely. Where I'm at, no, probably not for the foreseeable future either.
Yeah, I mean, that makes, it does make a lot of logical sense. And yeah, I mean, if you ask me, like, like you said, if I had between like trading cards, prints, or whatever, or just more pages for the actual book, every time I'd go, just give me more pages. Yeah, I want more to read.
Yeah, and some people might. That's right. That's the product that sold you. They're going to look at that fantastic art cover by Kelso Mazzini, look at fantastic variant by Renzo Rodriguez. They can look at the one by the Barton brothers and say, hell yes, I want to buy on this high-octane geopolitical spycraft subterfuge Black Hawk Down crossed with Suicide Squad. That's exactly the sort of thing I want. But I don't feel like, I'm not sold. 6 prints, yes, I'm in. That didn't happen once in the whole campaign. I guarantee I'd bet blood and money, nobody got sold off the prints. So it made me rethink, do I need all that stuff? I was looking into getting T-shirts and stuff made, and the cost is prohibitive versus the amount of interest you get back. No one's going to look at the whole package and go, that's cool. I wish this guy had a T-shirt to sell me. Here's the T-shirt, then they buy in. Again, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen.
During the first Magic Cup campaign, one of the most popular thing was the sexy parts.
Yeah. Look. Yeah. Titty is off the charts. Titty is something different. Something different. You can't even. There's 2 different beasts, because you look at some of these projects. Like you're 100% right, brother. You look at these projects like White Widow, the Bombshell one that's just come up. There's a bunch of Kickstarters. It's funny. Kickstarters like all. Down on people for being political or whatever, but nobody's got more titty and booty on it than Kickstarter.
Exactly.
Kickstarter is cheeky, man.
It's like it's one of the one with the most porn tits and everything.
Yes. Like sexy art books. It's just nude pictures of Supergirl. It's like just 40 pages of nude pictures of Supergirl. Makes $40,000. Yeah, and they do money, man. They do numbers. I said to Dean, I joked. I said we should stop doing the Sinner and work on a titty book, because that makes money. Some of the 40, 50, 60, 70 grand, like they pull in numbers that CG is not pulling in as frequently anymore.
Oh, dude, I even thought of starting a Patreon. Like the idea crossed my mind to start a Patreon, right? First tier, you get a digital comic. Second tier, art book. Third tier, titty book.
Titty book, man. Like if you want to put the time into it, it'll make you money. Like people are horny. Dudes are horny.
Yeah,
and
literally, yeah. Well,
I'm not going to...
Well, okay, sorry to interrupt, but look at Tim Lim. He's blown up with Cam in America. There's a reason for that.
and it's wholesome titty too. Like it's all very low key. She's very covered up. There's very little skin showing. Like her undies, it's not a G-string with all the booty hanging out. It's like Linda Carter, big granny panties. Like she's sexy, but she's like chaste sexy. She's sexy like... I can't even think. I was going to make like some sort of comparison to some sort of female wrestler, but they're all sort of trampy now, so that doesn't really work. But yeah, he's sort of walking that line. He's got the sex factor, he's got the sex appeal, but he also keeps it all above board, wholesome, all American pie, apple pie, all that business. He's a smart dude. He knows what he's doing. He's certainly selling to his base. And they're fun books too. I've reviewed all of them. They're enjoyable. He built one big story. It all leads to one big story. It's good writing. It's not something I necessarily pick up off the shelf. If I walked into my local comic book store, which doesn't exist anymore because Marvel sells such shit books, my comic book store had to shut down. Thanks, Marvel, you sons of bitch. If I walked into my local comic book store, if Graphic Action was still open, Rip James, Rip in Peace King, he's a good dude, and saw Carmen America on the shelf, I probably wouldn't pick it up to buy it because it's not my thing, but I'll definitely back it because it's an indie book and it's something to review, and you want content, you want non-woke content. It's definitely not woke. So it's worth checking out. He's making hundreds of thousands of dollars off that now. He'll be the next Brian Pulido. He's just going to keep growing and growing. It's a blueprint. But again, why is Brian Pulido big? Sim knows titty books.
Yep, I bought Lady Death on his Indiegogo, and he did that. It's basically just porn.
Yeah.
So if you get one thing out of the stream, everyone, Secret to Success titty books.
I suppose the tricky thing is finding a good artist that can draw really good cheesecake, because if they can do that, they're probably already making bank, and they probably don't need your script, which is something that you scribble down on a napkin after a smashed avocado piece of toast on Sunday morning. They don't need that because they're already making money off those titty shots. So, if you're not someone who can draw, Sim can draw. So he can do that. Dean could probably do a really good titty book, but unless I can have an artist that's gonna be able to do that. Because the thing is, if you draw bad titty, nobody wants it. It's really ugly if it's really stifled and stiff, and it's got that bad line. The line work with no line variation. It looks like they drew it in biros. Nobody wants that. That's going to fail. There's one on Kickstarter right now. I won't say the name of it because that's not very nice, but the cover looks okay because I got a guest artist to do the cover, but the interiors look atrocious. It looks like he just used like a number 2 fine liner or whatever and didn't do any. You'll draw the curve of a bicep or something, and it'll be thinner on both ends, and the line will be thicker in the middle. You have that line variation, and because you're not using a brush, you've got to go back and sort of almost sculpt the thickness of the line with that number 2 fine liner to make it build up and look like it's got that weight. They didn't do this. Everything just looks like it's been traced. It looks like a high school kid drew it, and it's just absolutely atrocious. And it's not making this fundy campaign. And it's a titty book, but it's bad titty. Nobody wants the bad titty, man. No titty's better than bad titty. That's some wisdom. That's some Kemosabe wisdom for you right there. It's an Australianism.
This is why I watch Comics Mate. Comics Mate is like one of the best YouTube shows nobody's watching.
Yeah, they're very picky about the titty. You can just be clunky with the booty.
We got Brother Hex with us.
Wisdom. Good, there you go, mate.
And then he said, at Kemosabe, if you had a fast beatboxer along to your pitches, that would be dope.
Yeah, because did you notice that no matter how you draw your tits, right? They're gonna complain. They can say like, oh, they look fake, they look this, they look that. But you can fuck up the hips, the butt. It could be big as fuck, like too big, and people will just, oh yes, she's thick. Yeah. You can fuck up the hip, the butt.
There's so many bad artists out there just like, thank you, Jesus, for the thick meme. It saved my entire art style. I couldn't draw, but now people just think it's thick.
We got Mike with us, Mr. DeBruin.
Yes, you also have Russ that just joined in with Genuine Comics.
Yeah, a lot of familiar names in the chat. It's great to see people that I'm familiar with turn up.
There's Russ.
Yeah, that's Russ.
We got Yodam. Hey, Yodam. All right, let's see. Perfect for the titties, but also I should mention Perfect 10.
Perfect 10 is one of the few books I ever gave a 10 out of 10 score to. It's that good. It's so good, man. It's so good.
Wow.
Dave is a prodigy. Dave's doing big things. He's built his own universe. He knows comics. He knows actions. He knows titty. Like the women look so good. And it's classic Bronze Age, almost X-Men Marvel style storytelling. It's just fantastic. If you haven't checked out Dave Brink's work, definitely go check it out because he's making comics well, and he's going to be making them. I'm going to predict he's going to be making them for a long time. And each campaign does better than the last. So, sort of thing. Get on the ground floor if you can. It definitely made my top 10 books of 2020. And I'm sure Perfect 10 issue 2 is going to make my top 10 books of 2021 as well when I do that video.
Did I back Perfect 10? I don't know. I might have to go back now and see.
I'm pretty sure it's still in demand.
Yeah, I can't remember. I've been cutting back on my backing, so I can't really afford to.
I've cut back because I've got so many books to review. I've got a backlog of like 200 digital books to review. Like I'm not going to be getting through that anytime soon.
No.
Yeah, I actually, I think you posted it. You posted all these PDFs you had, and I'm like, oh, he has SOS. And I'm like, oh, shit, that's from like last year.
Yeah, I got so many books I need to get through. I've got to the point where I'm doing what I call flash reviews, where instead of spending 10 or 20 minutes on the one book, I'll spend 10 minutes on 3 books. Each book gets 3 to 5 minutes each. I know the math is a bit off there, but it's flexible. And I just sort of say, here's what's good, here's what's not. See you guys next time sort of thing, and get through more books that way, especially books that maybe don't need a big in-depth review. Like, it was great pulling apart Khaleesi's book because it's fun to laugh at the train wreck and point out all the horrible things. And that was a 30-minute video, and I probably could have gone on for longer. I had to sort of truncate it at the end and stop rambling. But there's some books that it's like, hey, this is just a good book, like the Operation Eclipse books. I don't know if you've seen them at all. Good art, solid functional story, just needs a bit more of this, bit more of that. And that's what I say. Hey, it looks good. It's not as good as it could be. This is what I'd add more of onto the next book. And I'm finding I'm getting through more reviews that way by doing that sort of thing. Not every book necessarily needs a 20-minute individual review. Whereas something like, similar your book, that needed, because it's a more complex storyline and bigger stakes and a longer book, I needed more time to go through and actually say, here's all the pacing, here's all the elements that come together to make this book. Something like that demands more time. Some of these other Kickstarter books, you can just sort of say, it's not Batman with a katana. Thanks for turning up. I wouldn't recommend it.
Like, what the hell's going on? It's like I keep seeing his background like zooming in, and now, okay, it's the full camera. Wasabi's camera, like you see the background, like sometimes the camera zooms in and out.
Maybe it's focusing.
Yeah,
it's auto-focusing, and it's a bit tricky.
It's like it just seems like the background's moving. It's kind of weird.
Yeah, we got Katie with us. She says, Chris turned to the white side west.
Yeah, he fell in love with that shirt.
That's right. Changing it up.
Are you sleeping with it?
Kimasabi, are you at all affected by VAT taxes or international shit?
No. eBay started doing this thing where you've got to pay tax on low cost purchases. So if you buy something for $20 or $30, you've got to pay like an extra $10 on top of it, which is just, I just won't buy it. Screw you. But when it comes to shipping books internationally, I don't buy a lot of physical stuff because of that reason, because it's so expensive. They don't throw anything on top of it, but just the straight up shipping from America to Australia is exorbitant. And it's for that reason that I've paired up with RJ from Critical Blast to have him distribute the Company Men Dead, White and Blue within America. And a lot of people were really surprised and pleased when they saw the shipping charges on my book, because they were so much smaller than they were. They're like a third to half of what you'd expect to pay to get a book from Australia. If you've backed other books from Australia, not naming names, you probably you looked at it, you think, that's nearly the cost of the book on top of the cost of the book. I'm paying twice what I should. So I said to RJ, what I'll do is I'll get the books printed in America, sent from there to him. He's going to distribute them from there. I'm going to get one box sent over to me, and I'm going to do Australian orders, because Australia gets free shipping on the first book, just to get the book in my countryman's hand and sort of try and build up a bit of a fan base that way. I'm also going to handle the other international orders, but 85% of my orders, 85 out of 100, come from America. So RJ's going to handle that. He's going to bag them, board them, Gemini mailer, heat shrink wrap. He's got custom stickers, custom tape, custom bags to put them in with the Company Men logos and stuff on it. It's going to look sweet. And that way it saves you guys a bit of money. It's a 60-page book. The price point's right. I didn't come out ahead. I've talked about that before, and I think it's good to be real about that sort of stuff with people. If people are thinking about getting into this, or people have got into it and maybe their expectations weren't met, they didn't come out as ahead as they'd like, I think it's okay to talk about this. I don't consider that a failure. It's an investment in the first book. You guys look at Company Men 2 and you watch it do double money what this one did. All right, and then you watch book 3 do double that. That's the trajectory it's going to have. So, this is a long game. There's no cash grabs anymore. It was a time where people could turn up and pitch a book with 5 or 10 pages and a cover, some nice colors, and people would go in, they'd make 30, 40, 50, 70 grand. And then if the book turned up, it did, and if it didn't, maybe it wasn't any good in the first place. Yeah, that doesn't happen anymore. Like, people aren't making those big amounts anymore. So if you want to do this, you've got to be committed to it, and you've got to know that you're probably not going to make a whole lot of money the first couple of times out the gate. And that's the landscape that we're in at the moment. So, think twice. And if somebody wants to talk to me about that, like, I'm not an expert. There's other people that have done a lot more campaigns than me, but I'm happy to talk about the money I used and where it went and what sort of return I got on those sort of things, like Facebook ads and all that sort of stuff. And I can tell you what worked for me and what didn't, and what I would recommend and what I wouldn't. Everybody's product's different, but being able to save money on the shipping is one of the big graces of this book. The fact that you go to buy it and you go, that's a good price point. Then you look at the shipping like, hey, that's half what I expected to pay. I'm in, and I think that really helped. That and having 100% of the artwork done also helped. Like I made sure 100% of all the black and white art was done before the book even went live. And I was able to show people all 60 pages in a folder on my computer and say, there's all 60 pages of Company Men, issue 1, dead white and blue, complete, ready to go. Just need the colors, letters, digital, off we go. And that's, like I said, we're going to be going to print next month and shipping straight after that.
All right.
Glacier Mountain says, on panel and in chat, who's everyone's favorite comic book writer?
Oh, Garth Ennis, easily. He has the same warped sense of humor that I do.
He's a good choice. He doesn't make bad books. Like, you don't pick up a Garth Ennis book and very often, very ever, leave disappointed. Whether he's writing The Shadow, whether he's writing Punisher, whether he's writing Preacher, whether he's writing Just a Pilgrim, anything he puts his hand to, you're like, that was I enjoyed it. And sometimes it's got a downer of a message, but you still come away going, my day's better for having read that book. There's some comics I read, I'm like, that's just a placeholder. That's a placeholder between issue 19 and issue 21. That did nothing for me. But a Garth Ennis book, you always come away, like a Punisher Soviet that he put out last year, I think. It's probably the most recent thing of his that I've read. It doesn't do anything new, but what it does well. It's kind of like a better version of one of the later Resident Evil movies. The Resident Evil movies never really did anything new. It's just the same sort of plot recycled 7 times. But I watched all 7 of them, and if they made 17, I'd watch the next 10 as well. Because they're fun and they do what they're supposed to do. Garth Ennis is a little bit the same. He doesn't do a whole lot new, but what he does really, really well. And it's familiar and it's comfortable and it's fun. It's fun watching Punisher shoot ex-KGB Russian mafia in the face. That's what I pay my money for. That's what I turn up for. If I turn up and I got something different than that from a book called Punisher Soviet, I'd be disappointed and I want my money back. So yeah, he knows what he's doing.
Or pissing off a few mobster and punching a polar bear in the face and letting them deal with it.
There you go.
I love that. Dude, that one was so awesome.
He's got range. I like his big over the top Punisher, and I like his more grounded, veteran Punisher. There's this good stuff. And he did that. Was it Project Red Group? You seen that one about the cops that decide to get together and start killing criminals who slip through the.
Wasn't that the comic book that based on the movie called Red?
No, that's one by Cully Hammer about the ex assassin. This one's just about a bunch of New York cops, and they pick up this dude and they arrest him and they put him through the court system, and he comes out ahead. He doesn't go to jail, and he's like, haha, suck it. And they're like, this we know this guy did it and he got away with it. It's bullshit. And one of them says, what if we just walk up behind him with a little 38 and put a bullet behind his ear? And they're sort of say, oh, I wish I could kill that guy. I wish somebody clipped that guy. I wish somebody killed that guy. And over the course of the night, they convince themselves. They all convince each other to go in on it. So the 4 of them set it up, and they do it. They shoot this dude in the head. They kill him. They ditch the gun. They get away with it perfectly. And the youngest cop, the rookie on the team, he's really worried. And somebody says, "What are you worried about? We got away with it." And he goes, "That's what I'm worried about. It was so easy. How long is it going to be before one of us says, hey, look at this scumbag. He needs a bullet in the head too." So it's an exploration of where does that vigilantism end and where does a cop draw the line. I think it's 4 issues. It's a fantastic, maybe 6. If you haven't read it, it's Red something by Garth Ennis. R-E-D, the color red. It's like Red Group, Project Red, something like that. I can't remember. It's 1 in the morning. It's 2 in the morning. It's 2 in the morning. And I've got sick kids. They haven't been sleeping well, so I've had atrocious sleep lately. But it's definitely something you want to check out if you're a fan of Garth Ennis.
It looks like it's just called Red Team.
There you go.
Okay.
Yeah.
Glacier Mountain Comics says, Sim, I read Lost Pages. Vane was sick. Second favorite after Silhouette. Well,
sweet.
Yes, Vane was awesome, especially the demon that he was after. Best thing about that book.
Oh, I guess we answered my question. Akira Sabi, who's your favorite writer?
I couldn't pick one. Like Garth Ennis is definitely somebody that I'll buy almost anything he writes, right, and know I'm going to get a good product. Honestly, it's going to sound facetious, but I'm going to say it anyway. I'm probably my favorite writer. Like I love going through my own scripts, especially I haven't read it for a while. I forget what happens. Like I know the overall story, I know who lives, who dies, I know the big strokes, but I'll be reading through like, Company Men, book 2, issue 3, and one of the characters will say something really cheeky, some little one-liner, some little bit of banter between the two, and I'll burst out laughing, going, "That's so funny!" And then I remember I wrote it, So, whether it's mastered glory or whether it's really actual quality, I couldn't say for sure, but I really enjoy reading my own stuff. So I'd say I'm my favorite writer because I write what I want to read. Like these people making these, do you think Brian Pulido really likes making titty books, or is it just it really pays the bill and he's good at it? Like I saw that post recently, a Twitter post where John Buscema was saying, "I never really liked comics. I'm glad it's over. I want to go teach painting in Italy. Like I'm not interested in comics anymore." It's like this is John Buscema, one of I'd say like top 10 greatest artists of all time. His Conan is Conan. You put Ernie Chan inks on John Buscema pencils on Conan. Double chef's kiss. Let me do it upside down. Mm-hmm. Okay, Australian double. It's so good. It's so good. It's ridiculous. And here's this guy saying, "I never liked comics. I did it because it paid the bills and I was good at it." That broke my heart. So do you think Brian Pulido really loves doing titty books, or is he over it and it makes $100,000 every time? I don't know. I couldn't say.
I think he really loves doing titty book.
I want to believe.
Yeah, but if you grew up like reading his books back then, like Purgatory, everything was titty books. He was just one guy, Evil Learning. Yep. And one sick fuck that looks like him.
So everything I write because I want to write it, because I want to read it. I get an idea in my head, like that's a cool concept. I'm not going to be able to sleep right until I know that concept is realized. So I sit down and I've even got a video on this on my exact process. It's about an hour and a half long, but I go through the exact process. I go from getting a germ of an idea right through to having a fully realized script. And it's actually a step-by-step process that anybody could follow to get to a fully realized script by the end of the video. I mean, it's going to take you longer than an hour and a half to write the script, but you could listen to my process, jot those ideas down, jot those steps down, apply those steps to your own work process, and get to a finished script by the end of it, which is specifically why I wrote it. So, yeah, I'd say I'm my biggest fan. I'm my favorite writer.
And Sim, who's yours?
My favorite writer?
Yeah.
Actually, I would have to name 4. So. But like I really like Garth Ennis also back then. I like Rick Remender because I really like Fear Agent, and like I think he's a great freaking writer. But one of my all-time favorites would be Pat Mills and Jodorowsky. Pat Mills is the guy that's behind Judge Dredd, ABC Warrior, and all that stuff, and Slain. Yeah. But then you also have the writer creators. It's complicated.
So, while we're all having these big, interesting, serious discussions, this is what Pale Rider is sending me.
That's a nice match.
I don't know why he's sending me that.
Brave woman that chooses to wear that. An even braver man that chooses to wear that. You got a pretty mouth on you, boy.
Inflatable Chris.
Apparently he's getting ideas.
He's getting lonely, and he's working on this 6th stripper.
Hey, Chimera, since you're a fan of Ennis, have you read his Shadow miniseries that he did? He wrote a miniseries of The Shadow probably 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, I've been trying to get that. It's from Dynamite.
So good.
Yeah,
it's so good. It's more like Punisher with a big hat than it is like the actual Shadow, but in terms of just a really kick-ass story with a cool character that's omnipresent, has these great powers. It's second to none. If you can get a hold of it, I would highly recommend it. It's one of I read it digitally and I turned around and bought it off, I don't know, Book Depository or something the next day. It was that good. I had to own it.
Yeah,
I don't do that often.
No, I'm literally just reading manga at this point. I'm really burnt down on Western comics. It was on my list to read for a while.
Yeah.
Well, me, I was a huge fan of The Darkness. Remember The Darkness?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I was never a big fan of Witchblade, but The Darkness was definitely more my sort of thing in terms of style and in terms of the story. I know they were heavily linked, but
I enjoyed Witchblade, but when Darkness came out, that was it.
Mm-hmm.
That's not thought Sim's favorite writer is Zack Snyder.
I don't
I liked Watchmen. Watchmen was really good.
know. The Snyder Cut was good.
I haven't seen the Snyder Cut yet. I got it. I haven't watched it yet. Who's got 4 hours to sit down? And
Shut
I-
up.
Don't
I
start-
watched it.
Don't start him on it,
Bitch, one fucking
Kimasabi.
series, so don't come crying for a 4-hour movie. Yeah.
Here we go.
I watched it. It was good. I mean, it was good, but it could have been trimmed down by
Oh,
like
I
half an hour easily.
I just watched a trilogy. I just watched an entire like a 1 year of episode in a few hours, but I will not watch a 4-hour movie because it's too long.
Oh, it's not that it's too long for me. It's I just don't have time. I don't have time to sit down and do it uninterrupted. To sit down and watch it and not have Dad, can I have a Vegemite sandwich? Yes, you can, but like you're killing this for me, kids. You're ruining the illusion. Like I like to sit down and focus.
You
And
have
if I'm
to
going to
the
do something,
Vegemite before, get everything ready before you
there's
start.
never enough. There's never enough. I could make a pile of 10 of them. They'll still come back for an 11th. You never know. No, if I can, I'd need a day off from the kids. I'd need to send them to school or something, and then say, okay, today I'm only going to watch the Snyder Cut.
Douche taste alert.
I have no interest in the Snyder Cut. I probably never will watch it.
Oh, good for you.
No need to get so salty.
I'm not the one getting salty. You're the one. I may never watch it. Great
I'm
for
just saying I don't have an interest in it.
Yeah, good.
I'm not doing it to imitate.
Not interested in going. Well, it's 4-hour movie. That's way too long. You stream for 4 hours.
Oh Lord, Sam. Oh, Chimera had to leave. Yep. Later, Chimera. He had to head out. So how long has the company been going to be in demand? I remember if you said.
Yeah, I'm in two minds about this, and Sim, you fulfill campaigns, so you might have some sort of input on this sort of thing. Part of me says, well, I'm going to overprint. Like I sold 200 copies. I'm not going to just print 200. I'll print 3 or 4 or 5, whatever, whatever's in my budget. So do I just leave it in demand until Company Man Book 2 comes out? I think the campaign for that.
I mean, that's not what I'm doing because I'm international, because of the fees and the costs and the stuff.
Yeah.
I came up with the idea that I made is I'm going to close as soon as I'm ready to go to print, which I'm closing on the 31st.
Mm-hmm. So there's my two options. Do I close once I'm ready to print, and whoever got in, and whoever didn't has to get it next time? That works for guys that have got that really big backing. Like, I think John Mayland does that sort of thing. His books are, in a way, they're kind of really limited. And if you don't get them this time, you've got to wait for, I think, I haven't backed any of them, but what I've heard, you've got to wait till the next campaign to catch up. If you didn't get book 1 and 2 and it's campaign for book 3, you've got to wait for campaign for book 3 to get all 3 books. You can't just say, hey, John, can I get a copy of book 1 and 2? Because I know all the campaigns coming out next month, you get all 3 then, doing a triple pack sort of thing. I believe, I've been told that's how he operates. So when you've got that high demand, that really works. But am I shooting myself in the foot by not having this book available? I mean, if RJ's shipping it all from the US and it's costing him pennies, it's costing me not much more than that, is it a bad idea to leave it open for another 6 months? Oh, I've lost him too. That guy really likes Justice League Snyder Cut, doesn't he? I mean, he just quit the stream over it. So yeah, I don't know. There's something I've got to decide. Like my wife says, you should be more exclusive and cut off the print date, and then make people wait for the next one. But then other people say leave it open as long as possible. It just keeps making you money. I mean, every month Indiegogo sends me another, a block of money saying here's all the sales you've made this month. It's not a lot. Like the sales have really slowed down. And until the book starts coming out and until reviews are being seen and that sort of stuff, I think it probably will stay fairly slow. I'm only selling a couple of months at this point, but they send me money every month. Do I leave it open so people can get it, or do I try and generate interest for the next time around and hope that people want to buy in and get book 1 and 2 at the same time next time around? So that's the decision I've got to make at the moment. I don't know how long I'm going to leave it in for demand for.
Yeah, I don't know. Oh, there he is. He's back.
I'm sorry.
I think
the internet just cut out, like froze and everything. Like you guys just starting freezing. But my point was, I'm planning on doing a second chance campaign type of thing. When I'm
yeah.
done fulfilling, when everything's gone, I'm gonna do a second chance campaign with something like a variant cover, and that's gonna be my running campaign. So I can do the shipping thing again.
Mhm.
After 2 months, you do one bulk shipment, and you can still offer the same price. Otherwise, I would have to ship more. I would have to charge more for shipping.
Yeah. So there's another fact you've got to take into account. Geographical nature of all. G'day, Woody. I was fortunate enough to read and I wouldn't even say edit Woodrow's book because there's so little that needed to be changed. But I gave him a script review on his book, his own book, and it was, boys, it's a 10 out of 10 book. Like it's just about perfect. I think I maybe made 5 notes over the whole 20-something page script, 30-something page script. It's just so good. It's just a fantastic UIP, classic storytelling. I mean, it's definitely a book you guys want to get on as soon as it goes live. I think he's got the sign up page for it now, but it's gonna turn some heads. You've got that great Cannon White art on the cover there, and fantastic interiors. I was impressed for like what's essentially a first time writer to write a book that good first time out the gate. I just didn't think it happened. I've got a lot of good stuff to say about it.
Yeah, I haven't seen nothing of the script, but I've only seen like what he's shown there on Twitter, the art and stuff. And, yeah, I like the design and everything of his character and stuff like that. I'm certainly interested.
Yeah, great world building, a fantastic mix of cyberpunk and Japanese mythology. Like he brings the two together.
Which
Strange.
one are we talking
I don't know. You read Game of Thrones, and everybody's name is like you got Ned Stark, it's Eddard, and you got Jon Snow with no H, and you've got Bran, which is I don't know, like they all sound like real names, but then you got like some Japanese character, like anime dudes are talking about does Kosuke Yokosaki beat Kawasaki Saki? I don't know. I can't say those syllables, those phrases. Like it's not Anglo specific. It's not Western. If you have a guy and his name is Bran Stevenson, well, that sounds like Brant Stevenson, so I can say that. But when you got some dude from Naruto and his name's got like 8 syllables in it, and it's like 12 Ks and 6 S's, I have to sit there and like break each sound. I just can't say it naturally because it's not like phonetically, it's not tailored for the way that we speak. So I struggle with foreign words. So I can't tell you what his book is called. Yeah, I can't even say. He'll have to tell you. It's like in Onai, Yuku Onai or something. I can't say it, not because it's not a good title, but because I struggle with foreign sounding phonemes. But it is about an Ono, but like a Japanese demon with the red skin and the big horns and that, and it's just absolutely fantastic. So he said the mailing list is on his Twitter profile. So yeah, man, just jump over there and check that out, just so you know what's going on with it, because I think it's going to be one of those books that it's just going to blow up, and people are going to be saying, I wish I got in on that earlier.
Okuri Inu?
There you go. So it's not like, you look at it there and you go, okay, that's not that hard. It's not that hard, but remembering it, 3 weeks after I did the script review, it's just not a natural sound. Yeah, sometimes there's a guy who does verse battles on Twitter, and who would win, Darkseid or Hakioku Sokuseki from Naruto? I don't know. I can't say that. It's not. I got to break it down phonetically. It's not natural. Whereas Darkseid's just dark inside. I can do that. That's English.
It's a basic English.
Yeah, it might just be a me thing. I don't. Maybe other people don't struggle with that, but I really struggle with anime names. Which I prefer it when they. I prefer dubs over subs, and I prefer when they anglicize the names. It's just easier for my boomer brain to understand.
Genuine Comics was saying before, when you were talking before there, he said you need to print at least double the backer number if you want to offer issue 1 also with the next campaign.
Great advice. There you go. So I'm going to need to print probably 400 to 500 books. And I've got 3 covers on my campaign, so I've got to decide, the Renzo Rodriguez variant cover is exclusive to this campaign, and I've also got a 80-page expanded edition. It's got the director's cut with all the extra stuff in the back there. You got 20 pages of extra material. It's got the Barton brothers did the cover on that one. So do I make that exclusive to this campaign, or do I print a bunch of those off for the next campaign as well? I don't know. There's these decisions I got to make sometime in the near future, the very near future. within like the next month or so. There's a fine line between exclusivity and shooting yourself in the foot because you don't have a product to sell. Are the people who bought the expanded edition going to be salty if people are able to buy it at essentially the same price in the next campaign? People are going to say, well, this Kemosabe dickhead, he offers everything every time. I'm just going to wait until he gets to book 3 and buy all of them at once. Screw him. I'm not going to buy bits and pieces piecemeal. So I don't know. Maybe I'm better off making it exclusive and just having the standard edition available in the book 2 campaigns. People go buy book 1 and 2 at the same time.
I will say I remember, what was it? There was a campaign. I can't remember how it was. They were doing a campaign for a book or something. They were up to like the 3rd book or something like that. But they were doing a graphic trade paperback where they collect them all together, and it was like way cheaper than if you had went and bought the floppies for every campaign. And there was like my knee-jerk reaction, was like, well, what the hell? Like, I just went through, I bought all these floppies, cost me all this money. I could just wait till the last campaign,
that's right,
the whole thing,
and read the whole thing in one go, and not have to wait 6 months or a year in between each one. I'm of the opinion that if somebody wants to catch up on book 1 when it's the book 2 campaign, book 1 should actually cost a little bit more because you didn't get in on it earlier.
You weren't part of that.
And to say the people that's right, the people who did support at the beginning got it at X value. Well, people getting it now, it costs you X plus $10. I can chuck an extra $10 on it because you didn't get, not to punish you, but to reward the people who did get in early. And if it's if I print 500 of these, well, there's only 500 that ever exist on this first printing. If you're buying that in campaign 2, there's going to be less of them in campaign 3, so they're going to be even more rare. Again, that model works really good when you're John Malin or your boy Zach, but for me, I don't know how viable that's going to be. If people are going to be like, get head out your ass, you're not that fancy or important, I'm not paying an extra $10 for your book, or if it'll work. So this is for me. This is my first book. It's all a learning process. I mean, I talked before about suspiciously wealthy furries. The fact is, my wife makes enough money that she was able to, I was going to say essentially, but there's no wordplay. She's able to fund this, 100% fund this book from scratch. She said, here's the extra money each week. You can pay an artist and a colorist and make this book happen. Make it happen. Cowboy up. And this is what I've done. So not everybody's in that situation. And even though I've lost money on the campaign, I do see it as an investment for campaign 2 and 3 to finish the story. So, going on from here, any decision I make is made with that safety net, and not everybody's able to do that. So I know I'm in sort of like a blessed position, which I don't know, might alienate some people towards me, but I can't help that I'm married up. I
can't help a suspiciously wealthy wife.
I am a catch. Zaid Comics says your wife is a catch. I know it, brother. I know it. A mate of mine I used to work with, he married this tiny little islander girl that everybody just thought was super hot. She was like the hottest girl in our friend group or whatever. And everyone said, Scotty, you married up, man. You married up. You're punching above your weight. I never said that to him because I'm like, what does that do to a dude's psyche when everyone's telling him, like, your wife's literally too good for you? Like, that's got to rot your brain. Like, I joke about it, but I know I'm a catch. Like I say, I'm lucky to have her, but she's lucky to have me too. I'm a good dude. I'm 40. I don't look 40. So, we do all right. We do all right. I think you rise to your level. I'm certainly playing in the right ball field. But for her to say, here you go make this comic, that's what's going to make you happy, that was a hell of a thing for her to do. And if this takes off the way that I think it will, like I was saying on my stream today, where I streamed for 4 hours instead of watching the Snyder Cut, I got more IPs and more scripts than I've got years left in my life. Like I could be doing this. I'm 40. Give me another 40 years minimum. I'd be dead before I get them all done. I've got so many good ideas, guys. I've got so many stories I want to tell. Each one's valid, each one's solid, each one's a complete concept. I've got dozens of scripts already done and hundreds more in half-done states. It's just money, having the money to make this stuff happen. And we're in a landscape now where 5 colored pages and a cover isn't enough to get the money to fund the creation of the book. If you turn up with 5 pages and a cover and say, hey, guys, I need to raise 20 grand to make this book, you're probably not going to get 20 grand. So where's the money come from? Does the book get half finished? Do you release what you got? Do you cancel the campaign? Do you take it and supplement it with your own money? This is the landscape we're in now. And it's changed the way that I think people will have to think about doing business. There was a time where you could turn up with just that much and the enthusiasm, because I think probably early on people bought a lot of books just to poke the eye of the SJW, just to dunk on them and say, haha, I've backed this guy's book and this guy's book because he's against you, I'm against you, the enemy of my enemy is my friend. And they all got on board, and books did really, really well. Now the SJW threat's not as big, or it's receded, or there's almost a bit of a ceasefire at the moment.
But don't forget, there's also a giant influx of creators and books that came in.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, I'm sorry, but not to bust the bubble on that one, but there's people that can come in with a 5-10 page sample, and people will be interested in getting in on it. But there's so many right now coming out that people will wait. If you say like, oh, it'll be coming out in September 2021, well, people will put it on their list to back in like September 2021 because there's so many. It's multiple factors of this.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I'm not saying this is the be all and end all. It's just how I'm seeing this aspect of the landscape. There's definitely Johnny come latelys who want to do it at the last minute, because why? Like, just say you want to buy all 3 versions of the book. I don't know why, but some people did. Thank you, those people. That's $100 AUD, so you're looking at 70 something American. I think, why give me $70 now when you give me $70 in a month's time? But that's when the book's actually printed.
The answer is it's a bit like, there's people that come in to buy a comic, and there's people that come in to invest in a project. There's different people. There's people coming in going, I want to put $100 on that guy. So give me a tier that has $100 worth. Like that's how it is. Like you do have a big chunk of people that are just like me. Like, I just want the comic. I don't care about trading cards. Like, I personally don't care that much. I want the comic. But
I hear that.
I've heard from a lot of freaking people that like to back campaigns that they like those things. So you need to find a just middle, you could say.
Yeah, the middle ground. Absolutely.
And I also like to add, fudge you, Trudeau, and leave my internet alone. I keep getting kicked out of StreamYard. The internet.
Woodrow says he's so excited for the company, man. I like stories where bad dudes and gals do big things. I'm excited to see your world open up, Chemo.
Yeah, thanks, Woody. That's definitely one of the ways they'll sell the book. Bad people doing bad things for a good reason. I mean, these guys they're not criminals out and out, all of them. A lot of them are government operatives, operators, CIA, mercenaries, hitmen, that sort of thing. But they're not, I mean, I also say they're super, but they're not heroes. Like, they've all got superpowers, but none of them are especially heroic. There's a time where you need somebody murked, and you can't send Superman to do that. You can't send Batman to do that. You might not even be able to send Punisher to do that. These guys you can send. These are the guys that you can go to do the dirtiest, worst jobs. And there's people that have said to me, look, I won't back your book because your guys are basically supervillains. They're bad guys. I only want heroic heroes. Like, that's cool. I've got heroic heroes too. You can check those out in a couple of campaigns' time. You'll love it. But for now, this is the book that I thought was the sexiest, the most colorful, the most immediate. It had the most number of fully realized scripts that I could take action on straight away. This is the one I thought was the most marketable. And it's a very full world that I've created here. Some people sit back and go, I've created hundreds of characters. That doesn't matter. There's dudes on DeviantArts with portfolios of 10,000 characters that have done nothing with it. I've got a comic book. That's worth more than all the characters they've come up with and done little Marvel handbook style sketches for. Like, that's masturbation. That's just treading water. You're doing something that makes you feel good. You enjoy the creation process. That's cool. I do too. I've taken to the point where I've actually got a comic book of these guys, and it's a fully realized world that we're going to explore in subsequent stories. This story is set in the Middle East. The next story is set fully in Africa. And they go to Africa to deal with a dictator over there. So just kind of like James Bond movies. Each one's standalone, traveling the world, globetrotters, that sort of thing. But there's also a bigger story through all 4 stories. Each story is broken up into 3 books, 12 issues all up. But you buy the first 3 to get the full Dead, White, and Blue story. And then you buy the next 3 to get Hearts of Darkness. You buy the next 3 to get Cold War, and the last 3 to get Insurgent. That's the 4 Company Man movies that I've scripted.
And now Company Man stands by itself, like it's in its own universe. It's not in a shared universe anymore, right?
That's right, yeah. So not affiliated with Brain Cage anymore. Some people said, what happened there? Nothing happened there. It's just when 2 people say, in 6 months' time, I want to be here, and when those 2 locations are separate, not better or worse, just different places. Someone says,
Sounds like a
here we
good
are
plan.
here. Yeah, we wanted different things. We thought we were on the same page, and then when we got to a certain point, that page diverged, and I said, okay, well, I'll just take my ball and go home. And you'll still see me retweet their stuff. You still see me promote their products. It's a fantastic shared universe, a bunch of really talented dudes, great guys, fantastic dudes to hang out with, lots of talent, lots of money going towards producing the best product possible. I've got nothing but good things to say about those guys. It wasn't a bad split. Mummy and Daddy still talk. We're still friends, but company men no longer fit into that world, or their world. It was no longer a good fit for company men, and we went our separate ways. And I think I'm happier for it because there's a certain freedom to not have to double check with what other people are doing. And if you want to go crazy and just go off on a tangent, you can, So
You're not limited.
Yeah. And even though there's great structure and support of being part of a shared universe and gets people really excited, at the same time, people say, oh, can we do this with your characters? Can we do that? And you say, yeah, you can, but I wanted to do something different. I like your idea too, and your idea is good for the team, but you sort of got to give up on stuff you might want to do. So now I'm free to do whatever I want. I'm exploring a bunch of crossovers with a bunch of characters, other people's characters. Because the company man, the roster rotates. Not everybody that's in book 1 will be around in what's essentially book 4 or story 2. Not all 5 of these guys are going to be back for the next story. Some will die, some will move on, some will get promoted, some will stick around. Other people come in, they will leave. People from the first book will come back for the third. It's like Suicide Squad roster rotates. You'll always have sort of Deadshot and Captain Boomerang probably, but everybody else sort of rotates. You'll have King Shark, then you'll have Bronze Tiger, and then you'll have Duchess and stuff, and they'll come and they'll go. It's that sort of thing as well. Don't expect to see all of these guys around next time, but enough of them will be there to keep you interested to come back. And almost all of them are getting their own solo stories as well. I've already written Abbott's solo story. It's called Dark Side of the Moon. It's his road trip going across America to sort of become the hero he was supposed to be. His story, if you guys don't know, if people in the chat don't know, he was essentially supposed to be this world's Captain America. So he was their first, what they call post-human. And he was developed in a lab, in a bunker underneath the White House. His project, 1776, America. And he's in World War II, and his job was to go over there and kill Hitler. So he's all suited up in red, white, and blue. He's on the plane. He heads over, steps off onto the soil of Berlin, 1945, ready to go find Hitler and tear him apart limb from limb. Some soldiers turn up and say, "Oh, sir, we just found the Fuhrer dead. He shot himself in his bunker." And Abbott's like, and he's the big guy there. If people in the chat aren't familiar, he's the big guy with the mohawk there. And he's just like, "Oh man, like I'm 6 weeks old. I'm a fully grown superhuman with Captain America level speed, strength, ability, that sort of thing. And my sole purpose was to kill Hitler, and he did it to him. What am I going to do? What's left?" So he helps with the war effort. He discovers that the older he gets, the stronger he gets. So by the time we meet him in the company men, he's sort of closer to Ben Grimm levels of strength. Like picking up tanks, knocking down buildings, that sort of thing. He just keeps getting stronger and stronger, and he doesn't really seem to be getting any older either. He just gets bigger and stronger and tougher. So his other code name is the Perpetual Man. He just perpetual energy. He just continually grows stronger and stronger over time. And that's something that we're going to see factored into Dark Side of the Moon as well, him dealing with the idea of his growing power. And when he comes into contact with other superhumans, the idea that he's essentially the great-grandfather of all superhumans in this world. Like everybody's abilities that they got, most people have them from implants or genetic enhancement. The initial groundwork for that research was done with Abbott back in World War II. So he'll be punching on with some young guy in a cape. And someone says, you got to realize this guy is essentially your great-grandfather. You wouldn't exist without him. And you're throwing punches, you're throwing hands at his face. He's been defending America for a century. Who are you to step to him and say you can't do this? So there's those elements and issues, almost some Watchmen type generational stuff happening in there. That's just his story. It's just going to be a one issue standalone, probably 60, 80 pages or so. Depending, because when I write a script, I'll write cool action scene here and then move on to the next bit. And then I talk to Kelso and he's like, "What do you want here?" And I'll tell him what I want, and it'll go from one line on a page to like a 5-page action sequence, because I don't need to write that sort of stuff. He comes up with the fights. He comes up with the action. I'm like, just can you fit this in there somewhere? Yep, no problem. He makes it happen. He's a fantastic dude to work with, even with the language barrier. You got Cinder up the back there, the guy that's the flaming guy. He's an ex-hitman from Detroit, so his story, Home Fires, he goes back to Detroit and he's got to deal with all the stuff he left behind. If you can imagine a history of violence, if Viggo Mortensen had superpowers, some of that sort of stuff happening, like he goes back and he's got to deal with the world that left behind. At the same time, I got superpowers, bitch, what are you going to do? So he's dealing with that. And the people that he left behind, and, you know, he left and they said, you left, you got out. We're still here. We're still living in this world. So you can come back and thumb your nose at us for being horrible, ratty criminals and marked mafia hitman or whatever. But like, you left and we're still here living this day to day. So who are you to come back and tell us that we're bad or wrong? You know, you left. You were no solution. So he's got to decide, what do I want to do with it? So most of these guys are going to be getting their own solo stories to sort of supplement you for the next book, because like I said, not all of them are going to be back for book 2, but some will be back for book 3. Some die. You know, not everybody on this page makes it to the end of all 3 books. There's a fairly high lethality there for characters in the company, man. And just because somebody's got a supplemental story, you know, like Jura down the front there, his story is his days before he got his powers as an operator. So the whole story is him before he has his powers. So just because he's got a supplemental book coming out doesn't mean he's going to survive. You know, just because Cinder has a book about him going home, that could happen continuity-wise. It could happen parallel to this. It doesn't mean that it happens necessarily directly after it. So he might not survive. You just don't know. You've got to read the book to find out.
Nobody's safe.
Yeah, nobody's safe. Nobody's safe.
Let me see here. Phil says, glad you've been streaming more. Chemo can hold down a solo stream well.
Yeah, a lot of fun today on that stream. Went for about 4.5 hours. Drew those 10 art cards. I'm hoping to get 10 more done tomorrow. Later today. We'll see how we go. I got to sort of like the 8th and 9th one. And I wasn't struggling, but I don't know. Sim, you're an artist, you might know. There's a point where you just can't. Not you can't, but it's harder. You got to push through. You really got to work harder to get that good quality. And I think, call it. Okay, I'm done for now. Go have a break, play a video game, get a drink, have a couple, whatever. Maybe come back later today. Maybe come back tomorrow. Go play with the kids. Go for a walk. Yeah. I hit that point sort of around card 8 or 9. I'm like, oh, I'm struggling. I'm not feeling it. I can grind through to the last one, the 10th one, but if I'd done an 11th or a 12th, it wouldn't have been worth keeping. I would have had to toss them. So I thought I'd better have just calling it there.
As an artist, like that block gets so annoying to a point. Like me and Max Hedgeman were laughing at it the other day. It's like, we know how to draw. You know we know how to draw. Okay, would you believe it that sometimes we forget how? Like, it's so fucking frustrating. It's like sometimes you're just drawing and you're trying to get a hand or something and you just won't.
Yeah,
and the more you try, the more you want, and you're like, it's like you turn around. It's like you forgot to draw for like a few seconds. What the hell?
And do you ever do that thing where you say it out loud? You're like, how do I draw that again? Like, you're literally self-talk yourself. You're trying to cheerlead yourself. Come on, buddy. You know how to draw hands. Let's do this. We got this. You know,
you've been doing this for years. What the hell?
Yeah, no, that's a real thing. And like I said in the stream I did today, I haven't really sat down and drawn traditionally for probably about 5 years. So I was pretty proud of what I managed to put together after that big of a break from drawing. I've done a lot of digital stuff, but it's all just character sketches and that sort of stuff. I haven't sat down and used pen and ink for probably 5 years. And I had a lot of that today. I'm like, how do you draw a bandolier of bullets again? How do you draw big cable shoulder pads again? You know, like, I had to sort of relearn stuff on the fly. I was actually a little bit nervous just before the stream started. I'm like, you know, what's this weird feeling, this weird sensation on my chest? Oh, that's nerves. I don't get nerves very often. That's a hell of a thing. Because I was afraid I was going to not be able to draw.
Why am I having a heart attack?
It had been that long. I thought, what happens if I sit down and I can't draw and the first card comes out garbage? So I grabbed a piece of paper and I just drew a quick, you know, muscly arm holding a pistol. I'm like, that looks okay. That looks good. I'm good. I can do this. I got this. Come on, let's go. Game time. And it was a lot of fun. I had a lot of fun interacting with people for that time. So if I can do that every day for the next couple of weeks, I'll hit those 200 cards, and that'll be another part of this campaign I can put to bed.
Yeah.
Fawson says, being bankrolled by a rich wife is a nasty, nasty thing. Since you have financial stability, you can't be bullied into wearing a red dress and high heels on live stream.
That's the truth right there.
What is that jab at me, Bassett? That red dress talk.
It better be.
Gosh dang it.
So who has a rich wife?
Kimosabi does.
Oh,
Yeah,
Get that sugar mama.
yeah. She paid for the whole comic. Like she paid for the whole thing, all the art, all the colors, all the letters, everything. The only thing that she's not paying for is the printing and distribution, which is what the campaign covers. So
that's a loving lady.
Yeah, man. Yeah. Thanks, David.
Did you get her?
He says my mum review is super chill. I'm definitely gonna check that out.
It's either you're a really good husband and she loves you a whole bunch, or what the fuck did you do?
Yeah, man. Yeah. I was working, and then the COVID hit, and I couldn't keep working anymore in the field that I was in. It wasn't viable. And I said, okay, well, we're gonna have to switch it up. She earns a lot more money than I do. You go back to work. I'll take care of the kids. And I was at home, or I was just sort of. I'm working on novels. I write novels as well, so I was working on novels and stuff. And they only need a little bit of money for that to get some good artwork done for the cover, and then have it formatted, chuck it up on Amazon, let it make money for you. She said, you don't seem to be. What do you want to do? You don't seem to be, happy. You're not engaged. I said, I really want to do these comics, and I see everybody in CG doing so many great things. But I couldn't afford to do it. And she said, well, we've got a bit of extra cash, every week there's a little bit left over. We don't live beyond our means. So why don't you put it towards getting this book made? And she really paid for every aspect of this book. She's actually going to do a review of it when it comes out. I think it's going to be a bit of a joke review, and she's going to just take the piss and be like, I fucking paid for what? What is, this, and chuck that up on my channel. I think that'll be a bunch of fun. She's a really cool lady.
I thought I was just giving you beer money for the pack.
What the fuck is this? They kill how many people? Yeah, so that should be fun.
Company man, was this worth my money?
Yeah, that's right.
Company man.
You're gonna be ironing so many baskets of laundry. Yeah, it's
Nara says he thinks Kino can breathe through his eye like Anna.
I used to actually be really good at playing the didgeridoo, and you have to do circular breathing for that. So you're breathing out into the didge while you're breathing in through your nose. I haven't done it for 10, 15 years probably, so I'm actually not any good at it anymore. I actually can't do it at all, but I think I retain some of that, and I'm able to just, take a blast of oxygen in between. Yeah, that's right. It translated.
Yeah, it's like common nature now for him. It's like he doesn't even notice he's doing it.
I really don't. I didn't think I talked especially fast or a lot until I started doing these streams and people were commenting on it. And I'm trying to slow it down a little bit and put a little bit of time in between my thoughts. But
I remember the first not stream but review you did. I was like, when you started with the first opening, I was like, what the hell did he just say?
The accent doesn't help too. Like you got all the speed plus the accent on top of it.
Used to the your speed, the accent, and then when you kind of balanced it out, you're like, okay, I got it.
Yeah. A lot of people joke they got to listen to me on 0.75 or 0.5 speed on YouTube. Maybe if that works, I don't know. The funny thing is, my wife's actually the talker in the relationship. I'm the listener. She can talk. She'll get home from work and she'll be like, "Okay, I arrived at work at 7:00," and then she'll just unload the whole day on you. It's like this is everything that happened in order, and she just go through the whole day. So I'm actually the quiet one around the house, believe it or not.
Yeah, my mom's like that. Like you can ask her one question and it'll just be like this long story detailing everything that happened before.
Now, Mom, this is a yes or no question. Yes or no.
It's like I just asked one thing.
Yeah.
It just keeps going.
Yeah, my bro's the same. It's like you're expecting a yes or no, but then he's gonna start. Well, it all started.
I got a mate who will tell you the same story over and over again. Like he'll I don't know if you guys have experienced that, and you'll say to him, he'll be like, "So anyway, I was out such and such, and I saw Jimbo." I'm like, "Oh yeah, and the thing with the car and the kangaroo, yeah, you told me that, yeah." So anyway, and then he keeps telling you the story. Like, I just told you I've heard this, and you've said, yeah, you have heard it, and this isn't Roadhouse. I'm not going to watch this same movie every time and time again. I can watch Roadhouse any day of the week and twice on Sunday. I don't need to hear the kangaroo story again. I got it.
Yeah, but I've realized that those people, it's like it's not about them retelling you the story. It's about them reliving the story by telling you again.
Mm.
Some people don't cannot relive it just by thinking about it. It's like people work by pictures. Some people work by talking about it. So to him, it's like the way of bringing it up. It's it's him reliving the moment with you.
Oh, that's interesting. I never thought of that. What a great perspective. There you go. That's cool. I'm going to keep that in mind dealing with people.
Yeah, it's one of the things that reading psychology books that you learn that not everybody are wired the same, right?
Mm. Yeah, I talked about on the stream today. I talked about the 5 love languages and how people receive love and positivity differently from one another. There's those 5 different ways they receive it, and once you identify what your what your love language is, you realize that's how you project love on people. And so let's say Sugar's an active service guy. He really appreciates it when I do something for him. I make him a cup of tea, or I bring him his favorite pair of slippers or whatever. But that's not how I operate. I'm more like, hey, Sugar, you're a great dude. And he's like, Lee's always telling me what a great dude I am, but he never brings me my favorite pillow. What's up with that? He doesn't love me. So it's about making sure that you show love in the way that somebody else receives it. So you got to spend time with people, build relationship, work out this is how you receive love. I'm going to show you love in that way. So I'm a words of affirmation person. I need to hear positivity. And then the flip side of that, if somebody says negativity to me, something just a passing comment, it cuts me deep. Cuts me to the bone.
People have to remember that instinctively, like nature, by nature, you're gonna give to others what you think, what you would like to receive, and that's not actually what people would like to receive. It's and that's in everybody, and it's the same thing for that's one of the reasons why social media is such a problem sometimes for communications. It's because the way you say it, your body language while you say something plays a card behind it. Like you could just say one simple line that will be a one simple question, but give it to 10 different people, and there's at least 5 out of them that will not read it the same way. Will not get the same,
Yeah. So an effective person in business is someone who's communicate to a range of people, and hit something with every single person, have something for everyone. But then you've also, you got the problem then that you do this sort of wide appeal scattershot approach to something. It might be too homogenized for some people. Some people go, I get it, but it's not individual enough. Like if I just made generic superhero team book number 243, people go, it's just a bunch of dudes in spandex. Doesn't get me. I'm like, but they're CIA-run spies, hitmen, mercenaries, and they're fighting and here's the thing, and they get this power and that power, and here's the elements. And okay, those bits all together, that's what I like. But then it becomes niche, and a bunch of people goes, I like superhero teams, but I don't like anti-heroes, so I'm out. I don't want the patriotism CIA angle, so I'm out. I don't want to think about terrorism, so I'm out. So I lose people in that way as well. It's all, like you said before, man, that middle ground. It's all a balancing act, finding something that has enough appeal, but is still universal enough that enough people are going to buy in.
It's also why I be direct and honest about what you're doing. Don't try to please everybody with your pitch. Just say it out loud, because that's how you're going to disappoint people if they think they're going to get a superhero. Like one of the things that I've noticed when I was promoting Blood Hunt, people were like, oh, it's going to be one of those redemption stories. It's going to be like one of those. And I'm like, no. Do not make a mistake. And that's when I shift my way of selling it. And I went, I am not selling you a hero here. This is a monster for hire.
Yeah, and he leans right into it. He's not this tortured, oh, woe is me, I live forever and I've got all these powers, that's so terrible. He's like, fuck yes, I'm a vampire, let's mess some shit up. Like he leans 100% into it. He rejoices in his vampirism. And everything that he learns that's a new power up. He's like, cool, I got this new power. Let's host some people with it and see how effective it is, and that's definitely got to appeal to people. And that's, like you said, you sell it on that, and that's what people are going to get. If I'd sold this differently, if I'd said, it's a bunch of patriotic heroes behind enemy lines, and they thought it was like some Band of Brothers type stuff. It's not. These guys are raw, they're cheeky, they say some really off-color stuff, and this is an age where you get tarred with the brush of everything that you make. If you have a character say something that's off-color, they're going to say that you support, promote, or believe that. Abbott's really racist in a lot of ways. Like he's very redneck, middle America, backbone, salt of the earth. He'll say some, these guys are fighting terrorists, so he's going to say, raghead and goat fucker and stuff like that. He's just going to say off-color stuff. I'm not promoting that stuff. I've created a character that has that in his vocabulary, and it colors who he is and how you view him. And some people might go, I appreciate his ability to just, because he's so strong. Like there's a bit there where some guy pulls a gun on him and goes, what are you going to do? Shoot me? Like, I'm not worried. You're not scaring me. Like, what are you going to do? Shoot me? Please shoot me. See what happens. You know? So he's because he's bigger than life, because he's larger than life, and he knows he's basically invincible. He can say and do whatever he wants. Like he can almost solo the rest of the team. But he takes orders from Jura because he doesn't want the responsibility of making those choices. That goes to creating a character that you can understand, and then when obstacles come up and bounce off the character as you know him to be, that's when you get that really great storytelling. It's like, this guy that I know, how is he going to react to the situation? And you get the same sort of thing with Bloodhunt. It's like, here's this character, and then you throw vampirism at him. I expected exactly what you said. It's like, woe is me, redemption arc. This is my girlfriend's dad and bad guy. No, he's just like balls to the wall, kick the door open, twin pistols, backflips, all that good shit. Like it really took me by surprise that it was a much better book for it. It wasn't cookie cutter.
I was trying to show also, like, the struggle of the character was before you even got to know him. Getting turned into a vampire kind of took that struggle away from him to become like something else. So get the book.
Yeah, I'll check it out. It's a fantastic book. Brilliant artwork. Great story. It's just a lot of fun. Like, you just don't get fun books anymore. There's nothing preachy about it. It's like, it's a hitman that gets vampire powers and then uses those to be better at his job. If that doesn't sound like a good pitch to you, I can't. That's a you problem. That's a you problem. I can't help you, brother. That sells itself. Who doesn't like vampires? Who doesn't like hitman characters? Put the two together, you got a winner.
Yeah, I remember when I was watching his reviews, and I'm like, I like how you how not that you rip them apart, but you're really like thorough and honest about it. And I sent him a message. You want a copy? I'm like, dude, I like your reviews. Do you want to review my book? I really like to know what you think about it. And don't go easy on it.
And if you, and this is something I've said a lot of times, because I'll review books by someone who you point to someone and go, he's probably an SJW. He's got the blue check mark and he's got the pronouns and all that sort of thing. And I try not to hold it against people, but when I do review a book negatively, not even negatively, because I do the good and the bad and the ugly, so there's going to be negative elements in it. It's like, this could have been done better, but hey, here's what's worked and here's what I see it doing in the future, and this is why I like it. So I'll review a book and say something negative about it, and these people are the ones that clap back. They get angry. They block me. They say, well, one guy said, if you didn't think my book was worth $5, I'll charge more for it next time and I'll price you out. He charged $7 for it. It's like, I can afford $2, but the book wasn't worth coming back for a second issue. Like, he didn't come across as the winner in that exchange between the two of us. Another guy just straight up blocked me for reviewing his book.
People that just can't take criticism. Yeah, just the fact that you don't like something. It's like, I'm sorry, not everything's for everybody. And if somebody's being honest with you to tell you that it's not his cup of tea, without freaking ripping you to shred or anything, just saying that it's shit, come on.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, you don't attack the person. You talk about the book. Here's where the book worked. Here's where it didn't. That's not a reflect. You are not your work. Your work is not you. If somebody doesn't like your work, it's not an attack on you as a person. I think a lot of creators need to separate themselves from that. It might be an attack on your ability. It might be an attack on the validity of your ideas. But that's a you problem. You've got to deal with that on the inside and go, do I push forward and keep doing this, or do I throw my hands up and quit and go play Fortnite? What are the kids playing these days? Fortnite.
And he may not like your first book, but he may like the second creation that you do. Like, somebody may not like Bloodhunt, but will love that. Stuff happens.
The Robert Rodriguez is the only person I could see having the balls big enough to direct a Bloodhunt book movie.
I sent him a copy of the book because of it.
Yeah. Oh,
I had his address, so I sent him a copy. Yeah.
Oh, that's so good.
I hope he fucking picks it up or something.
Oh man. I would watch that movie. I would watch the hell out of that movie. That'd be so good. He'd be perfect for it.
That would be heaven for me. He's one of my friends. Like, him and Carpenter are like two of my favorite filmmakers. So, like, to me, having Rodriguez doing Bloodhunt, it would be like,
the sense from heaven. That's a match made in heaven. That one, that's perfect.
As long as it doesn't go. Can I make him a chick? I'm like, no, leave him alone. Use the huge
Yeah,
Gabrielle.
I can see him doing that. Look, I love it, but can we get some more titty in there? With Rodriguez, is all about the titty. I can see that. I can see that happening. It's like you're saying, like people might not like Company Men, but they might like The Sinner. They might not like The Sinner. They might end up liking one of my other projects that I've got in the work. So, you certainly don't want to.
You might read Company Man. You don't like the comic, but you really like that character.
Yeah, and
That
so when he has
also
a solo book, when he has a solo book, you pick up the solo book. But to block someone or to go off because they were negative about your book, that's very, very narrow-minded. And I find it almost exclusively happens from the SJW crowd. When I have, not being negative, but when I've said, here's areas you could improve in, the CG creators go, thanks for the feedback. I'll take that into consideration. Probably the harshest I was on any CG book was on Englewood by Micah Curtis. And he publicly and privately said, thanks for the feedback. I'm interested in making the best book possible. I'm going to take some of this feedback on board for the next book. And I was probably harshest on his book out of all the CG books I've critiqued, not out of any agenda, just because of that's like me personally, that's just where I landed on it. And he was still able to say, thanks for taking the time to give me feedback. Whereas the SJWs will block you or report you or
the SJW, right? Those people, because it's not just the SJW at this point, because they're affecting a whole bunch of people.
Yeah,
but it's all about. It's like they live in a fucking mentality where it's equal outcome and not equal opportunity. It's like everybody has a fucking chance to stand on stage and sing and blow everybody's freaking mind out. But if you go there and people don't like it because you sing like shit, they don't. You should not be able to tell them. You should tell them that they're fucking wonderful. It's heart moving. You're so brave and stunning for showing up there. No, people didn't like you. As soon as you step on stage, even if you are the greatest fucking person in the world and what you do, there will be at least a few haters, and they're going, "You're sick."
Yeah. There's nothing's universally loved, and that's what I found with that Mother of Madness book. Like the only reviews I could find were effusive, outrageously positive. 4 out of 5, 8 out of 10, A+. Like it was dog shit. How is there not anybody calling this book the shiny turd that it is? How's nobody saying this book is a mess? Nothing makes sense. The character is awful. The art's
perfect
possible.
example would be check out Rotten Tomato with the movies right now. The critics give it 98%. And
you always could look at the fan
score. It's like 20%, 18%.
It's almost a badge of honor now to have your book reviewed positively by the fans, negatively by the critics. Like that's got to be a good movie. I mean, that's got to be a good movie. It's got to be a good show. If the critics hate it and the fans love it, it's got to be good. And conversely,
I think I did a good job.
Yeah, you're doing something right.
I'm doing something right.
That's what I said. One of my tweets, I said, when they start blocking you, when you start getting lots of downvotes on your video, you're doing something right. Like you're motivating people enough to take that action. They say like you're trying to sell someone something on the internet, for every other click through to another page to get them to buy that product, you lose, I think it's like 10 or 13% of your buyers. So if you've got 100 people want to buy it and you say, okay, click here to buy it, you're going to lose 10% of those people. And if you go from there, click to the cart, from the cart to the checkout, you lose another 10%. People just tune out. It's too much work for them.
Yeah.
If a click is that much work, for them to take the time to downvote my video, to go and block me on Twitter, to type out a little tirade about how I'm a frothing incel. It's like, I got a wife and kids. It's the dumbest insult you can come at most CG dudes with. Most CG dudes are middle-aged dudes with wife, kids. Some of them are grandfathers. How are you going to call a grandfather an incel? My mum's one of 11. Can you imagine her dad? He's like, yep, 11 kids come out of these balls. Like, and imagine how many grandkids. I've got like 100 cousins on that side. They weren't even Catholic. They're just popping out kids like no one's business.
Yeah. It's like I got called an incel once, and I'm like, I laughed my ass off. I'm like, seriously, I'm an incel, dude. I got crucified. Fuck you. And everybody just started laughing. I'm like, I got 4 kids at home. What the hell are you talking about?
It shows how off base they are, because their best insult fundamentally doesn't apply to us. Yeah, you can call someone a nerd, a geek, whatever. That might fit, but incel.
They're throwing insults to other people that what they are themselves. It's like they're calling everybody Nazis or haters. Well, they're the one hating on people and not being tolerant for no one. It's always
absolutely.
It's always the same thing. The intolerant always pretend that they are the tolerant, and the other ones are just everybody's a fucking victim now.
Well, it's good. It's got value now. There's currency in being a victim. Unfortunately,
it always reminds me of that Crow moment in the movie when he's like, victims.
Yeah, are we all? Yeah. So yeah, Jim Cox, what did he say? What was his love language? Acts of
Mr.
service, did he say?
Mr. Cox says his love language is
Quality
quality
time.
time. If
There we go.
orders.
Yeah. My wife's is quality time, so I know that to show her love, I have to spend actual time with her, whether it's watching a movie, whether it's going for a walk, going to the park, whatever, spending one-on-one time with her specifically and saying, hey, I'm putting aside whatever else I'm doing because I want to spend time with you over those other things. That's how she receives love, you know?
So it's like I never find that not funny that he unconsensually got some.
Yes.
No, he consented. I asked him, and he said yes.
Oh, that's cool. That's cool. Boys, I'm probably gonna have to wrap it up now. It's been a couple of hours. I got to be getting back to bed soon. It's nearly 3:00 over here.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's probably like 3.
Oh, alrighty. Yeah. We'll just start wrapping it up then.
So don't forget to sub, like, and share.
Oh yeah. You know.
Yeah,
It's always a good time hanging out with you guys. Very chill vibe, very cool, very fun. It's just like hanging out with a bunch of friends, just talking about life and stuff, and the chats here having their input. I really like that format. I like the easygoing nature of it. You know, like it's not. You see a lot of shill streams these days, and I think they're getting less and less effective. But to be able to come on and just talk, and you know, if I can say, oh, and that relates to my book in this way, and I'll talk about it for a second, then we bring it back to what we're talking about. I'm not here to sell my book. I'm here to hang out with you guys. I just happen to be selling a book in my life at the time.
People are forgetting the chilling part.
Yeah.
It's just chilling. Yeah.
That's why, good. That's fantastic. That's a really great way to put it. And that's why people turn out. They turn up for the chill, not the shill. Nobody turns up to be sold to. You turn up to see a bunch of
shill
dudes.
Should be the extra little thing at the end or in the middle going, oh, by the way, don't forget to go back or stuff. It's chilling with the people. It's like I keep saying people are forgetting that what this was all about. It was like a freaking 24/7 freaking Comic-Con.
Yes,
this is what it's supposed to be. We're supposed to be chilling with our peeps, you know.
Fans and creators, always available.
Yeah.
Always talking. There's always some show going on. Like if you look far enough, there's always somebody got something going on. And I like the when someone over here.
Stakes, when people have stakes, some people lose that track of mind. You know when you
And if they got certain goals or milestones they feel like they need to hit, and like, I haven't sold enough this month, or I haven't sold, my book hasn't hit its goal, and they're scared they're not going to make it, so they push really hard. That's going to push people away. If anything, maybe you should just ease back a little bit. I like the way Zach goes, you know, here's my video on whatever topic. First of all, here's my book, here's my other book, does his video. So just remember, here's my book, see you guys next time.
Yep.
I do a similar sort of thing with my review videos. This is my review video on Mother of Madness. It's an absolute shit show. But before I talk about it, here's Company Men Dead, White and Blue. Here's what it's about. Here's what you get. Thanks for turning up. Now here's my video. And that's the sort of format I like too, because they're not turning up to be sold to. They're turning up to see somebody laugh at the train wreck. And that's what I provide for 31 minutes on that video anyway. I actually think it's my best video probably. I really enjoy making that one, just going on a bit of a tirade and being a bit spicier than it, because there's no redeeming features. The only good thing about it was some parts of the artwork. So I got to just rag on a book for 30 minutes, and it's an easy target because she's a Hollywood millionaire. She's not one of us. She's not a real comic book creator. I even did a little pitch with, Steve Buscemi, how you doing, fellow kids, and put her face on it because she's, how you doing, fellow comic geeks. Oh, I'm such a geek. I love comic books. And she's got a letter in the back there where she's like, when I was a kid, I was too scared to follow my brothers into the comic book store. I'm like, that sounds like a you problem. Like that's some bullshit. That's some bullshit. Yeah. Who's going to say to a 10-year-old girl, no, don't come in and buy a copy of Supergirl?
Dude,
fuck off. Nobody said that.
I'm sorry, but dude, every time we've all been in comic book shops, right? And I'm sorry, you look at CG and indie comics and see how they react when there's a girl coming and they all start singing. It's the same fucking thing in a comic book shop. Like all the guys are like reading comics. A girl comes in and they're all like, "What? There's a unicorn?"
Yeah, it's the same at Games Workshop. I used to. My wife would work in town. I'd say, well, when you're in town, can you stop by Games Workshop? I've got something that I want you to pick up, like some 40K stuff or whatever, some paints, whatever. She'll go in there and she's like fending off marriage proposals while she's trying to pick up a box of orcs or something, like that they can't believe. And they're like, oh, so when Army did play, she's like, my husband collects orcs. Like, you can see him go, here's this unicorn and someone's already got it. That's right.
Exactly. And dude, it's weird. It's even at cons when they were coming, like, you're so freaking like, what? Like you would go into the artist alley, an artist, and you go, you see a girl that's doing comics, you're like, oh, let's go see. Like it's a natural thing where it's
Yeah.
like, okay, there's a rare unicorn that comes into a field, and you're like, we're gonna shoot it? No, that never happened. That's like,
Nah.
come on in, pretty unicorn.
I don't begrudge them either. Like if you've got it, flaunt it. If you got it and it gets you sales, like there's like throughout time, women have always used sex appeal. If being a female creator, gives you a leg up or a head start, use it. I would if I could. I'm not that. I'm pretty, but I'm also Hagrid, so I walk that fine line. But if I had it, I'd flaunt it too. If I was some pretty boy and they got views, I'd be using that. Why wouldn't you? Why would you say, "Oh no, I'm going to put my tits away and not sell my book"? That's ridiculous. Get them out there. Do what you're going to do. Use what you got.
There's oh, thank you, soul. It's a box of orcs. Did you see Kemosabe that they're doing a Deathcore Krieg in orcs?
Yes, looks so good. I'm going to struggle not to buy that. And the new orc commanders look so good. I'd love to paint those guys. Sometimes I see miniatures, like I don't even want to own that to play it. I just want to own it to paint it to be so good. And I'm not like a display guy. Some guys will buy them and paint them and put them on a plinth. And I don't have like racks of orcs on my wall for people to look at. I own one bookcase that's behind me. I don't even have a second one to fill up the rest of the screen. And it's just all comic books. Look at this. It's just all comic books. But some miniatures are just so good. You're like, I just want to own that so I can paint it. Because I want the sensation of putting the brush to the miniature and choosing a color scheme, and then I love all that.
So what
that aspect.
Do with that? You have a special room size vault.
We've got a really big garage. The garage is actually larger than the house. The dude who owned this house before us custom built it, and it was designed to hold like 3 or 4. We had like vintage cars, so it held a bunch of cars and motorbikes and that. So it's really quite large, and I got all my hobby stuff out the back there in the garage.
Sweet, you should probably stream from there once in a while.
Yeah, it's not a bad idea.
Mm-hmm.
I love Deathcore Krieg. Them and how do you say it? The Maccabean Janissaries. They're two of my favorite guard regiments. And I love the orcs. They're so fun.
I'm just glad we're getting something that's not Cadian Guard. I'm glad they're doing something because Cadian is just so generic now.
Yeah.
And there's been a big push. Somebody will get like the feathers from some Empire archers and chuck it on the top of a Bretonnian yeoman's head and put that on a guard body with some different legs to make their own guard regiment. People are so desperate. I mean, you got the Vostrians, you got the Steel Legion, you got the Snow Dudes, you got the Desert Dudes, the Talon. You got so many different varieties, and they keep giving us Cadian time and time again. And a lot of people said the amount of variety that's on this sprue is not what you do just for a one-off. Like it's clearly going to be the start of a box of Kriegs, and they're going to be doing plastic Krieg. Krieg's the most popular, I think, in terms of aesthetic and lore. They're the most popular guard regiment. But because it's Forge World, it's so expensive in the resin. If they're going to do plastic Krieg, man, that's going to make them some money. I think they did really well with the Sisters of Battle. I think Krieg's going to do the same thing. They're just going to roll on and have this huge tide of money come in. People who've always wanted Krieg but couldn't afford Forge World prices are going to go in hard on these plastic sprues.
Yeah, I'm always glad to see something outside of like Space Marines.
I don't know. To me, they pissed off a lot of their clientele.
Yeah, they're doing a lot of they've been doing so bad for so long, and people just like it was a meme, it was a joke how bad they were, and then their customer service got better, and they started being more community minded, started interacting with people better, and their prices didn't go down, but they didn't go up as drastically, and they put out really good standalone games, and then over the last, I'd say probably 3-4 years, maybe not even 5 years, maybe 5 at a stretch, they made really big headways with me personally and with I think a lot of other fans in repairing that relationship that had gone to hell the 10-15 years before it. And then they start doing all this stuff, banning this, banning that, suing people, not allowed to use 3D printed parts and stuff in your army. Like they're really pissing a bunch of people off. And it feels like it's going back to the old ways, the discriminatory, we're just out for a buck.
They went full woke now. Like,
yeah, that too.
Telling me that the Sisters of Mercy are now the dominant thing. Like I didn't check into it too much, but yeah, I had a few friends renting.
I knew they'd lost. We'd lost them when they made the Sisters of Battle troops that had got the huge eviscerator chainsaws, and they'd run around just wearing ribbons and that. And they changed them to have these really dowdy outfits, and they put little leather shoes on them. So they kept because they like the idea is that for the chat, the idea is these like punished. They've fallen from grace. So they have no armor. They have the biggest, craziest weapons. They run into battle and just they have to die. Like you're only going to get one good hit in, and they just go in to die, and that's their redemption. Taking the biggest, craziest weapon. Their only armor is like the equivalent of Bible pages stapled to their body or wrapped around their body to protect them. Their faith is their armor, but instead they've given these little leather jerkins and given them little boots to protect their feet. Because people said, "How can somebody run barefoot across the battlefield? That's not realistic." Oh, that's your problem with the realism. The no shoes. It's not the warp. It's not chaos. It's not space hulks. It's not orcs. Look at orcs. Red goes faster because we believe it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That they can just like believe something.
Believe shit.
Yeah.
That's not your problem. The problem is that they didn't have shoes on.
The problem.
You can shit talk your way into having a flying spaceship out of fucking debris.
What's to say that their devout faith allows them to ignore the pain of running across bad terrain?
Exactly. It's just part and parcel of the whole penitence thing. I call them the sensible shoe crowd. And you see it a lot in the wargaming community. All these, and it's weird because it's all old grognards and they should know better. These old neckbeards that should know better. I mean, maybe there's a bunch of 40-year-old incel neckbeards that are fueling it, but most of the dudes I come across are dads and granddads. Like they're big, fat, older versions of me with even more grey in their beard, playing 40k armies or whatever. So they should know better. So when these younger women come into the hobby and start demanding all these changes, these guys should be on the front line of pushing back. They should be like, I don't think so, Missy. I don't let my daughter talk to me like that. They should be grandfathering that shit back to them. But instead, they're the ones laying down for it. They're these 50, 60, 70-year-old guys saying, yes, we should get rid of boob plate and all women should wear shoes and high heels are ridiculous. I don't know why they're... What do they think they're going to get out of it?
Why do you think they started the entire shit by mansplaining? The first thing they came after was mansplaining. So mansplaining,
yes, to neutralize that, not even weapon, but to neutralize our voice. We now no longer have a voice because anything we say is mansplaining. So that was like a preemptive. That was some KGB, USSR triple agent shit. They come into the lay of the land. They planted depth charges on our mansplaining, on our ability to talk, and they detonated, and it collapsed. And now, anytime you say, "Look, excuse me, love, sweetheart, excuse me, Sheila, excuse me, darling," anytime you say, "Excuse me, I need to talk over you, young lady, because you're full of shit," it's mansplaining, and you're the worst, terrible, most rapist person ever. You got some wisdom there, Sim. You're seeing the big picture. You're seeing the battle plan. You're seeing the war room. Yeah, that's what they've done. That's what they've done.
Mm-hmm.
All right, now Joy Kate says just getting addressed chemo. Now I have a problem. Okay, the first time you came on, you took my name. Now you're my threat. This is why you weren't back here for so long.
I can promise you I'll never get an address.
Brandon is
I don't have the links for it. I can't. He's out. He's in the stream. Cut it. I look like Klinger in a dress.
You just killed
hairy
Chris,
legs.
You just broke his heart. We're not going to be getting the sugar tarna anymore.
That's it. Pale Rider. I'm not encouraging Pale Rider anymore. There's no more red dress run.
It's one thing I had.
Okay, just a little reminder that 15 minutes ago, we said we were closing because you had to go because it's getting late.
Yeah,
and
we're wrapping up.
Yep.
We're wrapping up.
And I know how we are. We get carried away and blah, blah, blah.
You get me talking about 40K and
it's always fun. And like we said, we can do a stream for 3 to 4 hours if we keep going.
Yeah.
I could go on and on about 40K.
Oh yeah, and any other time I'd love to, but yeah, like it's 3 o'clock. I probably need to get back to bed and get some sleep.
Yeah, well, we'll see you all again some other time. We're gonna wrap this up, and
it's Friday.
We're never having King Wasabi on again. Yeah, we'll see y'all later.